Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking about another element of art. We're going to be talking about line, and we're going to talk about the different types of line and what they can do. First one we are going to talk about is horizontal lines. So horizontal lines go sideways and they create this calm and stable feeling. So think about when you're just lying down, or when you see something that is lying down. They're peaceful, they are restful. Think about still water, or think about just the way that water flows naturally, like going down a river or something, or going down like a small stream. It's going horizontal. So here I'm drawing this ocean and it's just horizontal lines. And even though it's really simple, it's all horizontal, and I don't know what it is to you, but to me it's pretty calming. Next, we are talking about vertical lines. So these create this type of strength and stability. When you think of vertical lines, think about things like buildings, even like a street sign with something that goes straight up, or trees or flowers, things that grow. So these lines can create a feeling of growth, a feeling of structure. So for this, I'm painting trees and it's all just vertical lines. So think about like growth. You see that structure. And I mean, just think about in nature, like actually think about that, is that these things are just sticking straight up in the sky. And think about how like strong a tree actually is, how strong a building actually is, and how much it takes for them to be vertical, which I know sounds kind of weird, but like that's the reality of that. Next one is diagonal lines. So these lines create movement, action. So think about like a person running, or like a slope. So think about when you have to walk up a hill. I'm going to paint mountains for this one using only diagonal lines. So think about when you're going up a hill and how much you're going to dread like going up this incline. Like it creates tension. Think about people who climb mountains and like the tension and the drama. So for this example, I'm going to paint these mountains and only using diagonal lines, and you can see there's tension, there's action, and there's drama, and like crazy. Or think about like a person running. When you think about like the form of a person running, when they're kind of swinging their arms and like their legs are lifting, they're going in these diagonal motions. So there's movement in that, and there's action. Now we're going to talk about my favorite line. My favorite line is the curved line. So these are very soft, and they're graceful, and they're flowy, and they're cute, and they create these natural movements. So think about things like when waves crash over, or think about flowers and how their petals are rounded. Or when you look at like a tree that's been cut down and you see spirals in the stump, those are curved lines. They're very naturally occurring, and I think they're so cute and they're flowy. And I'm using a flower for this example. I'm just using a petal brush, which is also a curved brush. And you can see the motions that I'm making. I'm making specific movements, but they're not as stiff as the horizontal and the vertical and the diagonal. These are looser and softer movements, and these are my favorite, and that is curved lines for you. Now I'm going to do zigzag lines. So zigzag lines create chaos and energy and excitement. So for this one, I'm actually using lightning, and I'm just using zigzags to make this lightning cloud and this lightning bolt. Another example kind of similar with the drama of the diagonal lines is you could do like jagged mountains. Like if I hadn't put more detail into those mountains and kind of made more diagonal lines, because that is essentially what a zigzag line is just a bunch of diagonal lines just crossing or like meeting at their point. That creates, again, like drama, danger. You also see a lot of a zigzag line in kind of a lot of abstract design, and I think those are used to evoke emotion, but I don't really do a lot of abstract, and I don't really know a lot about an abstract, so that's up to your own interpretation. Next, I'm switching to charcoal pages for this because these don't require as much detail, but now we're doing contour lines. So these define edges and they do outlines. So like when you think of cartoons or like figure drawings, I did this with Lily in one video. I'm going to just draw this tube real quick, just the outline of it. So the contour of it, just the basic shape with no detail at all. So it's really just the outline, and that's what a contour line is. Now, next we're going on to gesture lines. So these are quick and loose lines. They show motion and they show form. So again, with the figure drawings, those are quick and loose and they show motions. For this, I am going to do the other part of that where it shows form. So I'm using this paint tube again, and I'm just drawing really loosely and very quickly. It's the contour lines again with a couple gesture lines so that it gives the form. It shows you that this tube isn't like just a flat object, but it is 3D and it has some imperfections to it. And it has some details that make it actually like a used paint tube. Now we're using implied lines. So these are invisible lines. They're not drawn out so clearly, but they create this suggested line that guides the viewer's eyes. So for this one, I'm using these trees on two sides, and they're all going in kind of the same direction to meet at a point. And even though I'm not drawing a clear line path to show you where to look, what I'm doing is kind of creating this invisible line that is kind of pointing you towards where these trees meet at the end. So you'll see a lot of artists do this with an implied line where it's not completely visible, but the details or the objects that they place to draw the person's eye towards the focal point. That is creating an implied line. And yeah, those are cool. I like those too. This last line that I'm talking about is called a cross contour line. Now, this is not a very well-known one. We don't talk about this very much. It's a little bit more advanced, I guess, because this is where you kind of make things 3D, but it is a line that adds form or dimension. For these examples, I'm going to draw a circle, and I'm going to now make it a sphere when I draw this line across it that shows roundness, and it brings it from being a 2D shape to a 3D shape. And then there's also this cylinder that I can draw, and it is a flat shape at first, but when you add the curved lines, it makes it into a 3D shape, and you add that little shadow and it gives it more dimension. Yeah, and those are all of your lines. All right, everybody, we post new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. Follow us on all the social media sites that are listed in the link below, and we will see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.